Okay, today we're going to talk about the F chord. The F chord is difficult because it's significantly harder than any of the other chords that you've learned so far. There are several things that you need to accomplish, and my plan for my students is to gradually work into the F chord. The F chord is similar to the C chord, where the first, second, and third fingers go down diagonally in a line like this on the C chord. But the F chord is a little more challenging because you also have to bar the first and second string with the first finger. What I mean by bar is we're going to play the first and second fingers, first and second strings right here together with one finger. You see I'm smashing down behind this first fret with my first finger. Both strings, you try it. You want to hear this note on your first string and this note on your second string together. Okay, that's one of the toughest parts of your F chord. Now notice where my thumb is back here. It's on the back of the neck. Your thumb has got to help you out on this F chord. Before we go any further though, I want to first off encourage you that if you did not have any problem with the F chord, every other guitarist who ever picked up a guitar and has played for many years would be upset with you, because everybody had trouble with the F chord. It is one of the bigger hurdles. I want to make sure that also that you've covered things like your A chord, C chord, D chord, E chord, G chord, your basic majors that are open strings, as well as your A minor, D minor, and E minor. If you haven't learned those chords yet, you should really back up a little bit and learn those basic major and minor open chords first, because the F chord is far more challenging than those chords. Let your hand get strong with and coordinated with those other chords first before tackling this F chord. I assume your guitar is in tune and that sort of thing as well. Another thing I want to encourage you to do is do some finger exercises. Play your sixth string open. The sixth string is a big thick one at the top. Then play it at the first fret, second fret, third fret, fourth fret, and then the fifth string, and then just walk it down like this. You don't have to go fast, but I would actually challenge you to go slow. Slow and accurate is going to be much better for you than fast and inaccurate. And then come backwards. This exercise right here you could do over and over and over again. So how many times? As many times as you can put up with it, because it's going to do two things for you. Number one, it's going to get this hand used to fretting strings at the right spots, just behind the frets. Secondly, it's going to get your right hand and your left hand on the same page. They have to be picking the same strings. So very good exercise for you to work on. So without further ado, let's kind of walk into this F chord. So one more time, we got to get this bar happening. A bar is when you bar more than one string. Later on, you'll play big bar chords where you'll bar across the fingerboard with 5 and 6 strings. Today we're going to learn how to do it with 2. So we want to bar, take our first finger and bar the first and second strings across the first fret, just behind that fret, as you can see in my 2 videos here. Play those 2 together. Here's a little fun thing with you. Remember the Chuck Berry song, Johnny Be Good. I'm going to see if I can scoot up a little bit. It was I forget what key he was in. That is the same thing we're doing down here on this F. You know, that sort of little riff. But anyhow, that's what you're doing. I also call that a double stop. I won't get any further into that because we're going to get off target here, but just something fun that you can do to I always like to put fun into the music, because music's supposed to be fun. It's not supposed to be, work, right? So now that you've got that part of the F chord down, let's back up a little bit and go to our C chord. You should know this C chord quite easily before tackling your F chord. There it is. Here's your C chord. You're playing the 5th through the first strings. And notice that you have this diagonal thing going on with your first, second, and third fingers. Now what I want you to do is take your second and third fingers and drop them both down one string. down towards the floor. Keep your first finger where it is on the second string, but drop your second and third fingers down one string. Okay, so your third finger now is on the fourth string, which should give you this note, the F note. The next string down is your third string, which is where your second or your middle finger should be. And then, of course, your first finger didn't move, so it's still on the second string first fret, which is a C note. And then leave that first string open, which is an E note. Okay, so instead of C, we moved our fingers down, and then we have a really pretty major 7 chord. That's an F major 7. You've learned an F major 7 chord now. Okay, once again we went from C, we dropped our second and third fingers down to F major 7. Really pretty, isn't that? Now, here's the last little step. Take your first finger and just sit it down. Sit it down. Okay, now what you don't want to do is sit down your second and third fingers. Keep them up. Keep them up like we just had on our C chord that we moved to an F major 7 chord. Sit down your first finger, rotating it down. You have an F chord. Okay, so I want you to practice going from F major 7 to F. F major 7. Make sure you can hear that first string open, and then F. F major 7 to F. So here's a good practice exercise for you. Go from a C chord, go to an F major 7 chord, go to an F chord, back to an F major 7, back to a C, back to an F major 7, back to an F, over and over. Now your hand's going to get a little cramped up at that point, playing those chords for a little while. So give it a break. Go from a G to a C, to an F, to an F major 7, or go to a D, to a G, to an F, from a D to a G, to an F. Or you can even just isolate 2 chords. Go from a D to an F, from a D to an F, from a D to an F. And that's how you get really good at moving. You notice that all my fingers are moving at the same time. They're not moving one finger at a time. If I had to go one finger at a time, it's too late. By the time I got my chord ready to go, I need to be on another chord. And everybody says, well, how do you do that? Well, practice. You got to practice. Just what I just did. Take your hand. Another exercise for you is take your hand completely off. Then go to an F chord. Take your hand completely off. Go to an F chord. First, just go a little bit away from it. And then as you get better and better at this, with all fingers moving at the same time, just take your hand and just intentionally open it all the way up. And then drop down to an F chord. Intentionally. All the way out, drop to an F chord. Make sure you get that thumb on the back of the neck to help you out. Make sure that you're strumming only the 4th, 3rd, 2nd, and 1st strings as well. Alright? Later on, you're going to take this finger and bar across here and do sort of an E chord, pushed up one, and get a big F chord. Why is that a big F chord? Because this is a really low F note. There's the F note that we were using before as our root. And there's an F note as well. I won't get any further with those things because it's going to steer us off course. But that is, I believe, some really good tips for you for your F chord. Another thing that you can try, I'm going to give you one last exercise here. Go back to that little double stop thing that we had with the bar chord, and then slowly walk up your chord, your F chord. Okay, so now we only have 2 fingers going on. We started with our F on the first string, then our C, and we played them together, and then we added this. And then when you get comfortable with that, then add this 3rd finger. That's another way to grow into your F chord. I believe, though, is coming from your C to your F major 7 and then sitting down that first finger is the very best way to grow into the F chord. But that's just another practice method that you can use to get that F chord tackled as well. So all the best to you. I wish that you would subscribe and like this video, so that helps me continue to do these for you. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, put them down in the comments below. I'll do my best to help you out.